Part 2, the maddening continues. I promise it's worth it. I promise. It gets fucking crazy. It gets crazy. Hey Cameron, Karma, Ria, oh yay. Shelby. Who else do I recognize? Ariel. Michelle. It's always worth it. Thanks, Michelle. Oh, I'm just so happy. I've just met so many amazing women since, like, just coming in. Herbalism recommendations, please DM me and I will send you the names of a few women. Emily's here. Okay, cool. So I'm just going to give it a minute for everyone to trickle in. The woman who asked me about herbalism for menstrual health, you can DM me. I'll send you a couple of my favorite wise women who deal with herbs. Caitlin is here. Jess. Yay. Okay, we're coming all back on. Amanda. Okay, I was saying before... Yeah, so here we are. We are at the Gender Forum. So the Gender Forum happens. Okay, for those of you who are just joining, I'm talking about the peak of my experience in a fertility awareness teacher training that I was kicked out of. And so there had been a lot of conflict ensuing and disagreement. And so the teacher decided that, you know, we were going to have a gender forum that was moderated by a trans ally. It was not a neutral moderator. It was certainly not an expert. And so we are in the gender forum and I'm raising concerns about children's body parts being mutilated and them taking puberty blockers because we were asked to watch a film about transing kids. It was extremely relevant. So I was like, wow, I found it really interesting that you asked us to watch this film in preparation for this conversation, since so many women here are against genital mutilation at birth. Interesting. So, okay, we're at that point. So at this point, the moderator, I think, gets a sense that I'm super passionate and a radical feminist. And so she challenges me. She says, I would say she very directly proposes that I engage in a role play with her. So I agree. Because we were having a lot of back and forth at this point. I should say that the other women on the call were visibly upset. They were shaking their heads. Some were crying. Some of the women were shaking. And you'll hear this a lot. You'll hear that radical feminists are bigots, that we're hateful, that we make people feel unsafe, which is absurd because we're all like women and actually have no power at all. Thank you, Ria. Yeah, it's actually hysterical and absurd. So then the moderator, right, proposes that I do this role play with her, and she gets into character. Do you want to guess who she played? Anyone want to guess who she played? I want you to guess. It's probably what you think. This is a woman with a PhD, by the way. Yes, thank you. She plays a transgender person. She plays a man, so in her role play, a trans woman. Thank you, Ria. Also called a trans-identified man, also called just a man. No, she didn't play a kid. She didn't play a kid. Yes, Cameron, she played male to female. It was not Caitlyn Jenner. That is a good guess. That is a good guess, Jessica. Close. Yes, so she plays a man. So she plays a man. So she's pretending to be a man. And I'm just gonna say what she said. So and this is all, by the way, recorded. There is an actual recording of this that the teacher has. And after the recording was made, I was like, I don't want this recording shared because like I don't want to get killed. And now that I'm like, you know, very outspoken and even more confident, I feel absolutely, I stand by every single thing I said in that whole Zoom chat. So it's out there. I mean, it's out there. It's a property of the teacher. So, anywho, if this ever comes out, you'll know that everything that I'm sharing is completely accurate. I didn't make this shit up. So she's pretending to be a man who thinks that he's a woman. And so she's like, but Isabella, you know, I know that I'm trapped in the wrong body. And Isabella, I want you to let me into your women's circle. And I say to this character, the character that she's playing, the man who thinks that he's a woman, I say, you know, I really hear that you feel like you're stuck in the wrong body, but that doesn't mean that then I allow you to come into my circle. Kat, I've told you this. I'm talking about when I was in the gender forum and the moderator asked me to do role play with them. Courtney, I think I just called you Kat, but I was gonna say Kat Earth, but Courtney, I told you this story. So this is where I am in this share right now. You know this story. So the moderator, has really good skills. So the moderator is pretending to be a man, is a man pretending to be a woman, begging me to, I wish this was a movie. I mean, it's probably gonna be. Anyone want to direct it? Is saying, Isabella, I really just wish you would let me in your circle, and like, I want to die. I think I'll kill myself unless you let me into your circle. And I look at her in the virtual space and I say, it is not your mental health. Your desire to self-harm is not my responsibility. How dare you suggest that I would be responsible for your suicide by me not letting you into an all-women's space? Everyone was silent. And like I said, women had already started to cry. Okay, so multiple women are crying and shaking and deeply disturbed by my every word that I'm speaking at this point. So that's what happened. And then later that day, I got an email from the teacher saying that I was kicked out, that it wasn't going to work. And I got a full refund, which was expected. And she said she would give me a full refund only because she wasn't clear about the policy to begin with. So I'll also say that this teacher said that she agreed with a lot of what I was saying, but that the difference between her and myself was that I deny trans reality. Which, according to what she shared, so does she. If your definition of denying trans people is acknowledging that sex is dimorphic, then you also deny trans. I don't believe in a true trans. I don't believe that there are people who are truly stuck in the wrong bodies. I just don't believe that to be true. And honestly, I don't think this teacher did either. So basically, the email was like, let me pull it up. I don't think your stance on trans people is aligned with the core values of my program. I did my best to make room for your voice and find a way for it to coexist with the varying opinions in the classroom. But after the forum today, I feel clearly that it is not in the best interest of the cohort to continue this configuration. Certain members do not feel safe in the presence of your opinions, and it is important to me that they do. Never mind that I am, screaming at the rooftop saying that there is something bigger happening, that women are being erased. Like, that's not important. That shouldn't be centered. What needs to be centered are these women who are flying this false flag saying that I am somehow an unsafe person, which again is absurd. Yes, what about my safety? That's a great question. At this point, I didn't feel unsafe. I felt maddened. I felt manipulated. I felt I felt like they were gaslighting me. But can I say that I felt physically threatened? No, I would never say that. These are a group of women. I don't believe that these women are going to harm me. It's absurd. It's absurd. It's so misogynistic. Thank you, Jess. So, yeah, you'll hear this a lot, that words are violence. That words are violence. Yeah. And then the email continues. She says, I want to be clear, however, that I actually agree with you on some of these topics. And this is why, again, I'm not interested in villainizing this one teacher. I want to believe that she knows the difference between a man and a woman. I want to believe that. I sure hope she does, because she's teaching a female physiology course. And so she also goes on to say that she believes in the dignity of rights of trans people and how they identify. Okay, I can believe in the dignity of another person and also be opposed to them self-identifying as the opposite sex. You can be for someone's human rights and safety and well-being without affirming the delusion that they are the opposite sex. Again, you're going to hear this a lot if you haven't already, that radical feminists are against trans rights. This is gaslighting. Just like they say that we're against trans people in sports. What we're against is women losing the right to fair and equal competition. No, there were no trans. There was a question. Were there any trans-identified people in the group? No. There was one woman who liked to be called she, her, and he, him. That was as close as it got. Unless someone came out as trans after I left, that was the only person. I think she was the one who was crying and shaking during the gender forum, saying how difficult it was for her to be there in the face of such an oppressive force like myself. Yeah. Y'all, I'm tired. I'm gonna keep going now. I can keep going all night. This shit has to be shared. This is fucking crazy. I know you know this is crazy. That's why you're here. That's why you're listening. Because you've experienced the gaslighting too. Oh my God, I'm sweating, everyone. Oh my God. Ooh. Okay, I'm gonna have a sip of something. If you're drinking something, water, kombucha, now's the time to sip too. So I guess I want to kind of end with the what's happening now in the group. And I just want to say that I have permission from the friend I have who's still in the group has given me permission to share this information with you. So I just want to say that out front. And I really appreciate that person for being brave enough to do so. And what's currently happening in the group, which happens in every organization, right? This is not unique to this group, is that the women and men who are policing language are never satisfied. They're never satisfied. There's no winning. So if you're a leader, if you're an organizer who complies, you might think you're out of the, what's the word I'm looking for? Out of the dark. You're not. You're not. What has happened in this group is that this teacher who told me at the beginning that she was committed to using the word woman is now self-policing. When she gives presentations, when she talks to the group, she is self-policing. She corrects herself when she says the word woman. She apologizes when she says the word woman. This isn't unique to her. This isn't unique to this training. This isn't unique to me. My experience, what I just described, is not unique to me. I think I had a pretty outrageous story, but I know what's happening. I know what's happening elsewhere too. So there's my friend said that she is the only woman left in the group who says the word woman. I think there are at least 10 women now. 10 women in the group, 12 women in the group. She is the only one in this group of all women in a fertility awareness teacher training program that says the word woman. And every time she does, she gets looks of disgust. Disgust. I'm seeing a lot of sad faces. Yeah, this is for real. This is not, we're not messing around. Okay, so are there any female health practitioners on here right now? I think I saw a few of you earlier. Well, if you're on here and you are a doula or you're a midwife or you're an herbalist or you have any kind of company serving women and you haven't been asked to change your language or you haven't been harassed or bullied, it's only a matter of time. It's only a matter of time. And so if you follow the religion of trans ideology, then you will comply. You will do as you're told. But just know that it's never going to be good enough. It's never going to be good enough because it's not based in reality. It is always changing. So the question is, will you concede? Right? If you are a radical feminist and you don't follow the religion of trans ideology, will you concede? Will you follow the mob? And if you do, I understand why you would. I really do. I understand if you need to hold on to your livelihood. I understand if the risk is really, really scary. I understand that there are severe consequences to this. I get it. So it's either worth the risk, or you acknowledge that you are conceding and you are following the mob and you're doing what you need to get by in this fucked up world, which is to pretend, you know? Marylou Singleton brought this up in the interview, you know? Like, if you're a woman who shaves your body hair, if you're a woman who removes your body hair or wears makeup, just be honest. Just say that it's easier. It is easier to move through the world doing those things. But don't try to defend it as just being something that you like. We've all been there. We've all been there. It's much more powerful to admit that you are doing things that you know are patriarchal and oppressive to get through the world, to get through everyday life, to move through this world as it stands now. Okay, just like that's valid. That is valid. For those of you who haven't watched the interview with Marylou Singleton, she is just, I have no words. Some of you already know her. That was such a fucking privilege to interview her. Maggie's here. Emily, oh, you're so sweet. Ria, yay. So participating in the patriarchy, meaning that we understand as women that it's easier to move through the world performing sexist stereotypes, right? So like the workplace example, right? If you're in a corporate workplace, it's much easier to move through that space wearing stereotypical female clothes, wearing makeup, having your hair, straightened or curled or professionally styled. It's much harder for a woman to go into a corporate work environment and have, kind of unkempt hair, hairy armpits, hairy legs. So acknowledging that we're participating in the patriarchy is just an act of self-awareness. And again, this is not to place the blame on women who willingly participate or actively participating, right? This is a survival technique, right? I'll share one of mine, okay? So I don't shave my legs, I don't shave my armpits, but if I'm going into like a crowded space and I'm swimming, I will still sometimes shave my bikini line. Why do I do that? It's to avoid unwanted attention from men. That's like just a survival thing. Like, I don't want men looking at my pubic hair. I'm not ashamed of my pubic hair, but I know, because I've done it, I've moved through the world, in those spaces with unshaved pubic hair, where my swimsuit cuts off, and it's a hell of a lot easier to do that, and be in that space without worrying about the men who are staring at me. And so I've gotten over, the point in my mind with my armpit hair and my leg hair, but there's something about the pubic hair that, yeah, Jess, you do the same thing. When you go on holiday with family, you always shave your bikini line. Yeah. I don't want that kind of attention to my genitalia region. I just don't. So that's one example where, instead of me saying, no, I just think it looks cleaner and better, and it looks better with my bathing suit to like shave my bikini line. No, I'm doing it because I'm trying to avoid unwanted attention from men. That's why I'm doing it. Maybe I need to get like little shorts. I don't know. It sucks. Okay. So the other thing I wanted to say, there's a question, how do we change what is considered normal? So we don't feel the need to participate? I don't know if this is answering your question, but the example I gave with Marylou, in the interview with Marylou was, how do we make things normal? So like armpit hair, for example, like there's a lot of programming around body hair, thinking that women's body hair is gross and dirty. And so one way that I've kind of reprogrammed is to sit with it. And I went through a couple times of growing out my armpit hair in particular and then shaving it off, and then growing it back and shaving it off. But the more I sat with it, the more used to it I got, and the more I realized it was awesome, and I love it. I love it. I'm serious. I'm not fetishizing body hair. I actually just genuinely love, in a non-sexualized, fetishized way, love body hair, but that wasn't always the case. Marylou is here! Oh my gosh, Marylou. I'm talking about, I just finished my whole tale of getting kicked out of the fertility awareness teacher training for using the word woman and being gender critical. I just went through the whole thing, but I've recorded this so I can send it to you after. But yeah, that the reprogramming, it takes time, you know. We've been conditioned to think that our bodies in their natural state are gross and dirty, and so the act of growing out body hair, for example, or choosing not to wear makeup, you know, if you're looking at yourself in the mirror and saying, I could never do this, I look too ugly, like that's mind control. That's your programming. You're not going to just suddenly think you're gorgeous if you've been told your whole life that you need to be shaved and wear lots of makeup. It doesn't work like that. At least it didn't for me. If anyone here had that, like, that sudden of a shift, that's awesome. I'm not saying it's not possible, but with the body hair example, like really sitting with yourself and getting reacquainted with yourself, it was like a mystery for me. I had never seen my body hair grow out to completion other than when I was a child, like with my leg hair. And so my hair was growing and I was thinking, like, when is it going to stop? This is so exciting. Is this the end? Does it get longer? And I remember even the sensation of my legs brushing up against each other was so weird. It was so foreign. And I've also heard this a number of times from women where they say they've grown out their leg hair and it hurts, like it feels bad. Either they're not letting it grow out long enough and it's like the coarseness is irritating, or they've been so deeply programmed to think that their body hair is like really wrong. Like not only is it ugly, but like it actually hurts. Has anyone else heard that before? So this is how deep the conditioning is. Emily, you love feeling your body hair in the wind. I do too. At the beginning, what's funny is I always thought I had like hair or like lint on my legs. Because again, I was getting used to the sensation of just my body, that I was confused by my sensations of having leg hair. I mean, this is crazy. This is so crazy. Also, an easy way to sit with the discomfort of body hair is to do it in the colder months when you're wearing long sleeves and pants, as I'm doing now. That's a good suggestion. I get that, to kind of like ease into it. That makes sense. How do you make body hair softer? You don't like shave it. Shaving it makes it thicker. Just let it be natural. Just let it be soft and wild. When your leg hair gets stuck in your socks and you're like, what is this? Yeah, that's happened to me too. Oh my gosh, I love these comments. Yeah, and also when you're just starting to grow out your hair, it can feel like prickly and a little uncomfortable. That's normal. They're like, you have to get over the hump. We have some suggestions for making your leg hair softer. Shea butter on my legs is heaven. Cool. I have naturally really oily skin, so I actually never moisturize. I mean, you can see I'm always oily, always, even in the winter. So I actually rarely moisturize. So thank you for the shea butter suggestion, Amanda, for those listening. Body oiling, yeah. Okay, wow, how did we get there? So female health practitioners, this is the other thing I wanted to mention, that Jessica. Oh my God, more people are coming. Yay. So this is what I wanted to mention. Okay, for anyone who's just coming, the discount code, if you missed it, is DURGA, DURGA. That is $100 off the group series. So that's for group C and group D. $100 off for the group series. The code is DURGA, DURGA. I'm so excited for 2 more rounds. So yeah, it's, I really have empathy for the female health practitioners that are out there who are dealing with all this shit, especially the ones who are being pulled in both directions. Like, yeah, they're going to have to make a choice. And I think this is what's happening to the teacher of the training that I did, is that, again, nothing she does is good enough for the mob. Nothing is good enough. And so she's either going to have to say, listen, like, female erasure stops today, or she's not going to be the teacher anymore. She's going to be hiring other people to teach content that fits their definition of inclusive. I've seen that too. I mean, there have been so many people stepping down in leadership positions too for not doing it right enough. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. Before we sign off, are there any questions about the group series, about anything that I mentioned? If you want any clarity on anything that I talked about, thank you so much for everyone who has been here for an hour and a half. Oh my gosh, it's been a while. I'm gonna share this to my. I'm gonna save this live, and so it'll be available on my main page. But if you haven't already, check out the interview with Marylou Singleton, and I have another interview with Courtney Cat-Earth and with Rhea Riley, and so many more to come. So, I have a question from Caitlin. Did the silence after your role play and the forum? That's a good question, Caitlin. After the role play, a lot of the women started to attack the teacher, like verbally. The women who were like all for gender ideology and gender neutral language started to attack the teacher, saying things like, you told me that this was going to be an inclusive space, and like, I don't feel safe here anymore, and like, I think I need to leave the program, and like, you promised me this, but like, now you're letting in these like bigots into the group. And so that was the conversation. Also, there were a few women who I had known prior to the school, and again, I mentioned that there were also graduates of the program in the gender forum. And one of the graduates I had been friends with previously, and she was kind of doing her like emotional manipulation thing that you'll also come across a lot if you haven't already, is what happened to you? What happened to the compassionate, loving woman that I knew? You used to be on our side, and now you're, whatever. Sarah, what's a short response to criticism for saying woman? Oh, so a trans rights activist would say, not everyone with female biology identifies as a woman, and so how dare you misgender them? That biological woman, they won't say that, but that woman that person who is assigned female at birth doesn't identify as a woman, and so to what they would call misgender them is an act of violence. That would be the rebuttal. That would be the response to that. Sarah, you've been criticized for the word mama, but I don't even know how to respond in the moment. So I'm so glad you said that, Sarah, because Rhea very articulately talks about this in our interview, that the insidious nature of what is happening is that there's an effective confusion technique that happens. This is a hypnosis technique, right? So the purpose is to confuse you so that you actually don't say anything, so that you say nothing, that you get scared and you withdraw. So you saying that you don't know what to say to someone who's pretending that they don't know the difference between a man and a woman, and a mother and a father, and a vagina and a penis. That's crazy. And I encourage everyone who's still here, and I learned this from another woman, instead of coming to your own defense and trying to prove that you're not a bigot, I would challenge you to respond to women who are like trying to engage in a debate with you. I would first say to them, I'm not willing to engage with you if you are unwilling to acknowledge the difference between men and women. If you are going to pretend that there is no difference and that sex is not dimorphic, if you're going to pretend that that's true, like there is no conversation to be had here. And that apparently really shuts people up. I haven't used this myself, but my friend does this. And she says it really works. Putting the impetus on the other person. Because most people are just parroting information. They actually don't believe that men can become... Most people don't actually believe that men can become women and that men can give birth. Like, most people don't believe that. And so, by highlighting the absurdity of what they're suggesting, just kind of starting from there and really preserving your energy too. Because, do you want to have a conversation with someone who believes that men can become women and that women can become men? Is that something you want to do? Maybe that day you do. Maybe that day you're up for it. But at least you can better assess kind of what you're getting into. And this is what we're talking about in the group series too. So Leah Keith goes into this. She has a really incredible YouTube video series on liberal versus radical. And she really talks about the importance of understanding where people are coming from when you're in conversation. Right? Is this person operating from a liberal stance or are they operating from a radical stance? Because there are major distinctions. How does this person move through the world? How does this person move through their experience in their body? That's important information to have before engaging and before aligning with someone. And anyone here who's interested in doing any kind of training, whether it's a fertility awareness training or an herbalist training or a doula training or midwifery school, you deserve to get clarity over what you're getting into. You deserve to understand the policies and protocols and potential policing that happens in different programs. The sad thing about my experience is that I was assured that I wasn't going to be policed, and I was. So you may get an answer that doesn't end up being true. That can also happen. That's in doulas, we call this the bait and switch. Well, that's a term that's widely used, but you know what I'm talking about. The bait and switch, that also might happen. So be prepared for that. But before I signed up for the teacher training, I looked at her website, and I really thought that she was going to use, I wanted to believe that she would use the words woman because that's what her website had. But you'll notice the trend of companies, specifically birth and fertility, women's health companies that are changing their names. There was one in New York called, they used to be called Sex and Cycles, and they changed their name to All Bodies. All Bodies. Interesting, because Sex and Cycles isn't particularly gendered, but I guess it speaks to the very nature of our female physiology that we reproduce. I don't know. Did she remove the word woman from her website now? That's a good question. I haven't checked. I know that her business name changed. Her business name changed from her business name had a gendered name in it, and it's now been changed. So I wouldn't be surprised if her whole site changed. But I haven't checked recently. And it doesn't really affect anything because I know how she's behaving in the training and I know what she's saying in the training. And what is happening in the training still now is that she's self-policing every time she says the word woman. She's self-correcting. Oh, you brought up a lot of great questions with your daughter who is 12. Appreciate your time. Oh, I'm so glad you enjoyed it and that you're having these conversations with your 12-year-old daughter. Wow, yeah. Oh my gosh, to be a mom right now, navigating these conversations. I mean, if your kids aren't in like the kind of public school system, you can get around most of it, but Jessica checked the website and you don't see woman anywhere at first glance. Okay, thanks for checking, Jessica. Yeah, not surprising. Yeah, not surprising at all. I keep wanting to tell you about the upcoming interviews, but you'll just have to watch them. I'm so excited. I'll just give you a brief summary of what's to come. So I have an interview with an incredible detransitioned woman. Oh, okay, sorry. Jessica says, being in a body with female physiology. That's what it says on the website. No. It's just a shell, isn't it? I'm just a shell, and I have holes that can be fucked. What a time to be a woman. Yes, it is good to know what you're getting into. And again, do not be afraid when you're giving people your money. Like, I'm lucky that I got a full refund, really. Like, it could have been really bad. And I didn't like only put down a deposit. I put down a hefty amount of money for this program. So, especially if you're forking over your money, you want to be freaking clear about what you're getting into. Because look what happened. I mean, like, all of this that happened in my experience was like a for me experience. Like, I learned a lot, and it gave me a lot of fuel to do what I'm doing now, and to share what I'm sharing now, and to speak the truth, and to seek the guidance of many, many wise women who have come before me. So I can't say that I, wish it never happened, because this shit needs to be talked about. And I could have pulled out early, and again, I want to be clear that I wrote to her and I said that I was considering leaving the program because of the female erasure, and she encouraged me to stay. And part of my decision to stay was to just show up. Like, to show up as someone saying the word woman, right? To stay in it for the gender critical, the gender forum that she put together. Like, I thought it was really important to be voicing this very unpopular opinion. And so, yeah, then I got the email. You're kicked out. So that is what happened. But I held on as long as I could, and I did know my fate. And I had been anticipating getting kicked out for a couple months. I really did. I can't say I was surprised, but it was still horrible. It was still a whole ordeal, and was really upsetting. I don't want to downplay this. I'm not getting some kind of satisfaction from sharing this with you now. It's really devastating, and it's really devastating. Because I really wanted this information. I really wanted to be able to provide a more comprehensive fertility awareness education to the women that I was serving. And so that was the most depressing part about this whole thing, is that they're actually, the content, there becomes so little room for the actual content of the course, because every conversation is dominated by a religion, the religion of trans ideology. And so in a group of 14 women, she lost 2, and is likely to lose more women in the group who are speaking up and saying, fuck this, this is not cool. This is not cool. So I hope that, each practitioner that's here and is listening, like, is taking this shit really seriously. And, like, again, if it hasn't come to your arena, if it hasn't shaken you up, it's only a matter of time. And so I think standing firm, holding your ground is really, really important. It's really important. So any other questions? What program am I talking about? You can DM me and I'll share more. Jojo Dula, yeah, DM me. I don't feel called to announce the program on this live. I think most of you know the program that I'm talking about. It's not specific to this program. It's happening everywhere. It's happening in lots of organizations. But I do want you to know. If you want to know what the program was, I will tell you, absolutely, if you DM me. Because I don't want you to go into the program and, you know, think you're getting into one thing and it's something totally different. So I'm totally down for that, to share that information. Yes, Caitlin, you're saying when Marylou Singleton said women gathering on the ground she held really moved you. Yeah. Marylou Singleton is holding it down. That is the power. Like, if you're the woman to speak up, if you're the woman to say something, women will follow. I mean, again, it's what's happening in my world, you know, on a smaller scale. I mean, I have 14 women in this group series who are standing up, who are saying enough is enough, who are finding clarity, who are having hard conversations with their peers and their family. Like, it's working. It is working. I'm hopeful. I'm really hopeful. Yes, women are the leaders because we're the most affected. Yeah. So much demand you had to add more sessions. Yes. So again, the discount code is Durga, DURGA. Get the code, use the code. It's $100 off while you can. I'd love to have you in the group series, and I have more sessions lined up. We start the first week of November, so really soon, and it's 8 weeks. So we're gonna be meeting once a week for 8 weeks. Once a week for 8 weeks. So we'll be done by the holidays. We'll be done by Christmas, Hanukkah, New Year's. We're gonna be done. We're gonna be done before that. And I have a weekend option. So I listed a Sunday, and I think there's a Wednesday. I actually took down the Tuesday group because that actually didn't work for my schedule. But the women who were there switched groups, so it was all good. So, Caro, oh, thank you. Oh, I'm so glad. Yay. Okay. I'm going to get going now. I've worked up a sweat talking about all this. I think I'm going to shower and rest, and I hope everyone has a beautiful weekend. And if you didn't get your questions answered, please DM me, and don't forget to watch the interviews with Marylou and Courtney Cat-Earth and Rhea Riley. They are, I mean, how lucky am I that I get to interview these incredible women? I mean, it's pretty awesome. It's pretty awesome. So lots of love to all of you.